All right, what's up, everybody? It is hey, it is not the what you think it is. We are rebranded. We're ready to go. Our slogan is "Don't quit your day job." Israel Troupe joining me there. We are the Regular Guys podcast because we're just a couple of regular guys talking about sports, talking about life, talking about whatever the heck we want to talk about. We are presented by the After Dark Network here, a brand new network that you should be on as well. So make sure you join in on all the fun. But we talk about everything. And yes, what we used to be, we're still going to talk about a little bit because that's who we are. That's part of who we are. We're going to talk about Georgia a little bit, but it's not going to be all we're about because it's you're a high school football coach. I'm becoming a media mogul. That's my new sport. And then we have kids. We teach, so we got stories there. I'll be following my high school coaching career will live vicariously through you, Israel. So I'm very excited about that, man. So welcome into episode 1 of the Regular Guys podcast. We got a lot on the plate here. There's a lot of national stories that I want to get your opinion on. I'm sure there's some other stuff that you want to talk about too. I know in our text chain you said I'm gonna let you go on this. The wannabe coaches, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of vague. I kind of knew what you're talking about, but go ahead and tell the world, man. Wannabe coaches.
It's the wannabe coaches, the ones that they want to be heard. They want to, people want people to know them, that they want the notoriety. They want to be the one, that's breaking the news about, this position, that position, this player, that player, what this coach should be doing and things like that, but never do the things that it takes to actually be, a coach, so, our schedule goes a little bit like this. We wake up every morning. I have an hour drive to work. So let's say we have 6:45 meetings. I have to wake up at 4, to get there because I try to be an hour before my kids get there. We have to feed them. We feed them breakfast. We have to break down film and things like that. So nobody's usually up during that time. Most people have regular jobs. But you're not dealing with the adolescent, pupils of the world like we have to do. Most people can't even manage their own kids, yet alone 120 of them. So, I find it always, and I try to bite my tongue because, my position and who I am and things like that. But, that aspect of life still bothers me because if you have so much to say, you have so much, intel, so-and-so and so, how about you go to school, take the tests and become a teacher? And you can become a coach, and then all of your opinions will actually matter a little bit more than they don't right now. So,
yeah, no doubt. And I just laugh at all that because like everybody will, and you have your fan crew in the stands. You have everyone that's like, oh, I could do this better than you, or like you're in the hallways at school during the day. And people are like, oh, well, Coach Troupe, he doesn't manage his classes. They just do whatever the hell they want to. And,
that's a lie. Sure, that is a lie.
But there's somebody saying that.
Oh, ain't no doubt. No doubt. Sometimes they're your own teachers.
Yeah. There's somebody that's like jealous because everybody likes Coach Troupe. Coach Troupe's popular guy in school. Everybody, there's going to be somebody that doesn't like that. I'm sure I've got somebody in my building that's like that with me. Like I'm sure there's somebody like, oh God, Coach Bird, he just lets his kids do whatever the hell they want, and they don't know. Like, and I try to make it a point not to judge other people's classes because I know every class is different, every class culture is different, and at the end of the day, you have to do what works for you and what works for your room and what works for your situation. And what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. Like what I teach and what you teach requires 2 totally different teaching styles.
Absolutely.
What you coach, yeah, and like what you do coaching wise and what I do coaching wise, or somebody else on your staff does, it requires different sets of skills. That's why you have to assemble a diverse coaching staff because you need somebody that has those different skills. And I think people are just like, if you're not yelling and screaming as a football coach, people think you're not accomplishing anything, or like they think you should be doing something better when they just don't know the situation.
Yeah, like you have no clue what you're trying to get. That's the thing that I tell people all the time. You're trying to get, for us, 14 to 18-year-old kids, sometimes 19, depending on how many times Ray Ray was held back. But you're trying to get those kids to do
Shout out
what
to Ray.
you've taught them all week, with distractions from school, whether it's school, cell phones for us, girlfriends, things like that,
Cell
to
phones
perform in order to keep your job. Like they
Yeah.
have to perform on Friday night for you to keep your job.
Mhm.
So that's why we do it and you don't. We do it because, one, we love it. We don't do it for the money because we don't get paid enough to deal with some of the things we have to deal with. Okay.
Mhm.
When you clock out of work, you're done. Right? Most people, you know, when we clock out, we're not done until whenever. We're kids. We're their bank, we're their therapist, we're their Uber, we're their Uber Eats, we're everything that
Mhm.
most people don't realize, most people don't see. They just see the final product on Friday night, and then all of a sudden we don't know what we're doing.
Right. Right.
And that's always bothered me. That's bothered me as a player, because I know my coaches put their blood, sweat, and tears into this game plan. And sometimes we go out there and we F it up. It'd be like that sometimes. Sometimes their Jimmys and Joes are better than our execution. It is what it is. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
But these keyboard warriors, and we saw Kirby Smart get on Paul Feinbaum this weekend. It was absolutely beautiful. I tweeted about it as well. That's how I feel whenever I see these people out in public. I'm like,
Yeah.
so what was that you were saying? Draw it up for me. Draw up the defense. What's the scout report on these guys?
Yeah, and that whole Feinbaum Kirby Smart interaction was just a personification of the keyboard warrior. Feinbaum as a character, Feinbaum as a person probably truly doesn't believe half the things he says. I think he says those things for ratings and things like that. So you have to understand that he's a character, but like the whole personification of that, like calling out the keyboard warrior and putting him on the spot, is awesome, because like you can really light somebody up, and just by simply like, this is why we do it, and they're just like, mind blowing.
Yeah. I offer to do coach for a week. You know what I mean? You come in, we can do it as a booster club deal, a drawing, whatever. A coach for a week, which means you have to come in and do exactly what we do during the week. And I guarantee you, people have a total different mindset of what we do every week. Because people can't do it. You can't. I mean, you got to teach class. You especially, because you actually teach class. You have to teach class. You have to do lesson plans along with game planning. I mean, you're monitoring kids, not just your football players, but your students as well. Then you got admin on your back, maintenance things that you got to deal with all the time. Stuff that the normal person doesn't have to deal with, but you can get on here and talk about us.
Yeah.
Does it bother me? Not necessarily. Does it get on my nerves? Yeah.
It's annoying. It's annoying.
I signed up with it. Doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when you get on here and our kids see it. That's the part that bothers me.
Because the kids don't believe it.
Yes, because now that evil has now leaked into our locker room. That evil they go home and they hear, all right, well, coach said this at practice. Well, you go home and mom and daddy said this. Now it's conflicting stories when they just won't do what I told them to do. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I've been here before. I played at D1 school.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously don't know what you're doing, Israel. Like, come on, dude. Like, you're terrible.
In the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just a Joe Blow on the street. I have no clue what I'm talking about.
No, we get any idiot do what you do, right? Jeez. Yeah, I know. And obviously we have thick skin. We sign up for it.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But at the end of the day, like what you said, you hit the nail on the head. The kids they're 14, 15, 16-year-old kids for the most part. You have a small handful of 17, 18-year-old kids, but like they hear that stuff. And I wouldn't, I'm at a school that talk runs rampant, and it just overwhelms them to where they have no choice but to believe it. and the talk is always negative because
Mhm.
you suck, or you're not as good as Pearl, or your coach is an idiot, or your coach hates you, or this, that, and the other, and it's constantly undermining everything. And it's not the kids on our team. The kids on our team end up believing it, and they start self-sabotaging. But
Mhm.
it's the dudes that won't step foot on the field, or the
Mhm.
teachers that have no, that would come nowhere near the field, and it gets overwhelming, and it just gets very toxic, and it really just kind of stunts your growth a little bit.
Absolutely. And that's why I love Kirby Smart. That's kind of, you know, we all come from the book of Saban of some kind, with all his Sabanisms is what I call it, of how to keep, the team together. You know what I mean? We have this thing called connection with us. Um, and I have a thing called, I have a little motto, that I use. It's called team your butt, but I don't use butt. Okay. And here's why, because at the end of the day, team matters more than you. Okay. If the team is doing well, you're going to do well.
Team
Okay.
above your ass. Yeah,
Team,
you can say ass. It's okay.
you.
We're the After Dark Network. We're not quite
And
as sick.
it's team, then you. That's the biggest thing that we worked on. And I find that, to be very, very beneficial because our guys have learned, the team comes first. You know what I mean? So it's kind of helped block out the noise outside, but they still listen to it, just like we did when we were their age. You know what I mean?
You
The good
hear it.
thing about me is that I played it, I heard it, I
Mhm.
didn't like it then, so I know how to, kind of get away from our guys now.
Yeah.
So but a lot of our guys they've never heard it, they've never been through those situations before. So
Well,
that's another thing.
probably your guys have heard the opposite. Your guys have heard you're good. You don't need to listen to coaching. You're good. You're masters of the universe. You're whatever, right? Like Thomasville is probably a community that's pumping your guys up too much. There's like a fine line. There's like a middle ground, but like there's too much and there's too much negativity, and
Mhm.
like you want to be right there in the middle.
Yeah,
Right?
you got to be able to compartmentalize everything.
Mhm.
Everything you hear ain't right. Everything ain't wrong. You know what I mean? So you got to take it in one ear and go out the other.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
understand that we got a job to do at the end of the day.
there's gonna be some negative. Like coaches are gonna f things up occasionally,
Oh
right?
yeah,
um, it's going to be there's going to be some lack of player execution. There's going to be lack of coaches execution. There's going to be situations where their team is just simply better than yours. There's nothing you can do about it, and there's going to be all kind of scenarios. Not everything falls on the coaches. Not everything falls on the players. It's why it's called a team, from the head coach to the team manager. That's why it exists. That's why it happens. That's exactly why. So it's it's one of those scenarios where you just have to kind of fight the urge to buy into it and just say, hey, I know, if you have conviction, I know I'm doing the right thing, you'll be totally fine.
ain't no doubt.
You'll be
Ain't no doubt.
you'll be totally fine. So
And I
I,
love it.
I'm
It's
not
always the good banner.
yeah.
Especially around this time of the year, especially spring, and you know, people they want to know what's going on, but they really don't. So they try to put these little feelers out there to kind of see what's going on. Just clickbait stuff. You know what I mean? So this is the best time of the year. Besides the actual season, this is the best time. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you kind of get a feel of what's kind of going on with everybody.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt whatsoever. But here's the thing, man. It's what happened to my camera? Um a lot's happened since the last time you and I got on here and recorded. And there's been some things happening in college football. The new playoff model stuff, the SEC, like Greg Sankey's like saying, hey, I'm gonna take my ball. We're gonna start our own league, like all kind of stuff. Man, it's crazy.
Oh man! Until they get
And
NIL stuff figured out, I ain't.
yeah,
That's what I'm worried about. Get NIL stuff figured out before you get everything else figured out. Let's nip that in the bud. You get one free move,
yeah.
one free move. That's it.
One free
Everything
move.
else gonna cost you.
Yeah, and treat it like, I mean, or if you just give them contracts, even,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
if you decide to leave or you don't do these things, you got to pay this money back.
yeah,
I think
like
that's
treat it like a real job,
fair.
you know.
If you're going to negotiate like it's a real job, then you got to get treated like it's a real job, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
no doubt, no doubt. Is my picture still up?
Hey, yeah, you're good.
Okay, it's kind of strange because I can't see anything right now because my computer decided it's going to install an update, but like it didn't kill everything; it just killed the screen. So
Welcome to
this,
the life of my MacBook. It happens all the time.
this is new territory, man.
Yeah. You just
Truly
sit here
regular
and you're
guy
like, you
stuff.
know what? I'm gonna get on right now. So no, you got to update, bro.
No,
Ain't
no,
happening.
we updating, or hey, you had a really good point, but we're gonna update you right in the middle of it. Uh,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so fix NIL, fix transfer portal stuff. Honestly, this whole thing is about money
Mhm.
and about revenue sharing and resources, and you go to a playoff model that, and I think the NCAA will cave on this. So all this threatening of breaking away is just to get their attention. But I think you're going to get to a scenario where um, they, I think they're going to bend to the demands of the SEC and have the four automatic bids, which I think has potential. But you have a 14 or you have a four automatic bids for the SEC. I think it has a chance to make it extremely competitive.
Mhm.
Okay. When you look at those four auto bids and how they get to those four auto bids, I think you have a chance on Championship Sunday. If you can make 8 teams involved in this, you get half of the league with a legitimate shot at going to the college football playoff every single year with some play-in games, right? You get like, or you get, your top two, they don't play, and then like you have a 4-team playoff for the last two slots. So like you have, 3 play 6 and 4 play 5
Yeah.
for those last two spots, like something in that regard, or you just go a full 8-team mini playoff, and your four winners on that day go to the college football playoff, and then you just seed them based on record after that, or who gets like the top spots and on down. And but I think that would make for a hell of a competitive SEC. I think it would make some of these non-conference games not hurt you. I don't want to say not matter, but not hurt you.
I think so too, because I mean, nobody wants these cupcake games anymore. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, people want the cupcake games because they want to win and get in. You know what I mean? So, um, I think if
The new model will protect from not scheduling cupcakes. Like if you schedule cupcakes, it'll hurt you in strength of schedule.
yeah, that's what I want. I think if you want to get in, your strength of schedule should be a factor. You know what I mean? And I think the SEC basically has a point. You know, right now because they are the strongest league right now. I think the Big Ten is a close second, but they got too many teams that are on that bottom tier that are on the way up. You know what I mean? Like the Illinois of the world. You know, Wisconsin's going to be good again at some point. You know, who else?
Iowa's
Indiana.
pretty
You
consistent.
know, Iowa.
And the Big Ten said they would adopt the same model too.
Yeah. So
They would do whatever they
there's a big thing that's going to be really, really good. I think the ACC is trying to get better. Belichick coming into North Carolina is going to be huge for the ACC. I think they're trying to get some more teams, some really good teams in there too to kind of mix it up besides Clemson. But I think they just got to figure it out. One, they got to figure it out and stick with it. You know what I mean? You can't be bullied by coaches and things like that. I think whatever your model is, NCAA, we're going to go with this model and go with it. You know what I mean? And you can be mad, happy, sad, glad, whatever it is, but this is the rule. This is what it is. And I think they had it right as far as if you keep winning, then you're in. You know what I mean? All the people who were upset, they lost. They lost or they didn't win their championship. You know what I mean?
It comes down to parity. Like to me, it's the reason why the NFL is so great. It's because you get parity. You get these teams that are good. You get these conferences that are good, top to bottom. Like just think about if you're Vanderbilt or if you're Mississippi State or if you're Purdue or Illinois. Like think about being able to recruit to these play-in games. Like, hey, if you come here, we have a shot at going to the college football playoff, like a legitimate shot, not like a, hey, we're going to be on the cusp but never quite get there. Like, hey, we're going to be in this playing games. And as well as I do in college football, these playing games or these college football games can go any sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can recruit to that, and there's more resources being thrown your way because you have more spots in the college football playoff and you're making more money and there's more revenue, I think that's going to elevate the sport as a whole. Now, if you're an ACC team or a Big 12 team, you have that to some degree. It's a slightly lesser degree. You've got to check your ego. If you're the Big 12 or if you're the ACC, you got to check your ego a little bit. But
Sure.
you're still gonna have elevated recruiting, elevated resources, even getting only 2 teams in if they go to the 4-4-2-2-1 model, or if they go 4-4-3-3-1. That also benefits you as well. I think that's probably the best model if you're the Big 10, Big 12, or the ACC as far as compromise goes. But the Big 10 and SEC are going to get 4 in no matter what. So there's not really much you can do about it. It's those other 2 conferences fighting for that extra spot.
Look, if you want to get other teams in, tell your other teams to get better. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's the way of the world. It's just like.
But it's not fair, Israel. It's not fair.
It's not fair, or it's my turn, or it's my time. No, it's not. It's not. Go sit down somewhere. Go to your bowl game and be happy with what you did. Okay. So things like that. Like I said, there's a couple. What was a year ago when we lost last year before last, when we didn't get in it. So we lost. I mean, it is what it is. If you lose, you don't get in. Do I think we were deserving to get in? Yes, I think we're deserving to get in. But at the same time, we lost. That's the stipulation you have. If you lose, you don't get in.
The SEC championship was the playoff game.
Yes.
You have to win that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the newer model, you don't necessarily have to win it. You just can't get blown out. But you still want to win it for pride purposes. And I'm glad Georgia did that. I think you go to 16. I think you call it a day. You go 4-4, and then whatever else you want to do after that is fine with me. I don't care. You just eliminate some at-large bids, but I mean, honestly, finish top 3 in your conference if you're Big 12 or ACC, and you'll get in. Like that's you have to finish up there anyway to get those at-large spots. Like if you're Utah, you pretty much have to win the conference to get in, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever, they could go the 5-11 model. It doesn't matter. Like you still have to get in those spots. So let's just formalize it and say, hey, make it a little bit more rigid so you get the conference representation. So you say, hey, you've got seats. It's up to you how you want to fill them.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got those 2 seats, and those teams are going to have to perform and get there anyway. You're not giving those, you're allotting 2 spots, but you have to earn those 2 spots.
Yes, they're already built in. Now y'all decide who's going to get those 2 seats. They're already there for you.
Yeah, you decide who sits in them. Whether you want to do a 14 playoff to see who gets those top 2 spots, I think that would be great for your conference. Gives more teams a chance,
Speaking of that debate, okay, I had a debate too. All right, you ready? Okay. I think you can ride along with this. All right, get ready. Okay.
All right, here we go.
3 days a week during the summer.
3 days a week during the summer.
Okay, we go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during the summertime. Okay, we got Mondays and Fridays off.
Yes.
Okay. Other teams, some go 4 days, some go Monday through Thursday, some days Monday through Friday. Okay, when I was at Ware, we went Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, so we still went 3 days. Okay, All right. Why do coaches feel like we have to be there? Okay, we have to come in about 7 o'clock. All right, some coaches don't leave till like 4 or 5 during the summer. Okay,
burnout.
I'm home by no later than 1 o'clock. That's with an hour drive. Okay, so the burnout factor of coaches, okay, is what I want. This is why I say that. Okay, if you bring your coaches out during the summertime, by the time you get to mid-September, I say game 5.
Yeah,
and then Lord's willing, you make it to the playoffs. It's over with. Okay. Especially if you're not one of those top tier teams that can make it to state. Now, every time you get into the playoffs, there's a chance. But some weeks you're like, no, and you never want coaches to be ready for it to be over. I can remember, being third round playoffs, like, I want to win this football game. I really do. But I will not be upset if we lost.
Mm-hmm. I've been in that boat a lot.
Because you go from working all summer, okay, and then you get to the season and you're working till 12, 1 o'clock. And then you got to get back up and teach class. You know what I mean? So the burnout of coaches, what are your thoughts on that? Mine is I will never go back and work those hours ever again, ever, in my whole entire life. I'll never do that again.
Anytime you can save time is perfect. I'm always less is more, quality over quantity. If you can save that time, I love the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You get it all done in the middle of the week. You bookend it with a 4-day weekend, right? You give not only are you giving your coaches time to be humans and families, and being able to have a 4-day weekend, you're also giving the kids a chance to be kids, right? And you have dead periods. So you have vacation times where you're not doing anything. And in Tennessee, you have 2 weeks back to back of dead periods. So the thought of I think with everything being online now with Huddle, I think being able to share Google Docs and, with technology the way it is, I think staying at school till 12 o'clock is all for show to me. I think you can accomplish as much. You could right after practice. Okay, hey, let's make sure the kids get home. Okay, that's the most important part, obviously. So however long that takes, it is what it is. But do we really need to meet afterward? We can go home and share notes, or you however you want to do it. But you have to find ways to save that time, because you're not effective as a coach if you're worried about when the hell is this going to be over with. And the kids are going to be even worse because they're dreading it. They start to skip practice. All of a sudden, I got a toothache, or
I've never seen more kids with dentist appointments in my life.
Yeah, because you're going 4 days a week. They want to be kids, right? We all know they're not good. We all know the richest dentist of all time is anywhere, July and August. But it's all for show. Honestly, you go 3 days a week because you have to prepare your body for football. It's just that's the kind of sport it is. So I think anything less than 3 days a week,
you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're putting yourself in with injury risk. But I think anything more than 3 days in the summer, up until you get right when you start camp, right when you can put on full pads. That you work up to that and you say, okay, we're gonna put on full pads at this point, and then we're just gonna ramp it up because we have to, right? We got to a point early on in my time at Hillwood where week 3 or 4, we noticed a trend. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, our kids would disappear. They would skip. So we were like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Less is more. That was the head coach's model. Less is more. I can get more done in 3 days than you can in 4. So we did Monday, Tuesday, and Monday was, I don't want to say light day, but Monday was a run through, install, JV game, right? So your younger guys are getting really good game work on Mondays. Tuesdays, we go a little bit longer. We go 15 minutes longer. We hit a lot more, right? We get all of our grunt work done. Wednesday is off. Totally off. Anybody that wants to stay can stay, get treatment if you want to, but it's optional. And we had a handful that would stay, but most would take advantage of that. And then Thursday, it's not a walkthrough. We put on shoulder pads. it's less of a pace than Monday, but you're still running through things. You're still clicking up. You're still, you know, you're still going through your practice.
Mhm.
It's not just a typical Thursday walkthrough, which I think is a waste of time anyway. Um, we got better doing that.
Mhm.
Like we got really good quality work.
Yeah, because you know your kids, like
Yeah.
you know them, like you know
Yeah.
what's going to work. All right, this what we were doing at first wasn't working, so let's do it this
Mhm.
way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, our
And I tell them all the time, I like going home. You know, I like seeing my wife and I like seeing my kids.
Mhm.
You know, I'm sorry, Coach so and so, that you don't. And that has nothing to do with me. That was a personal preference that you decided to do,
Yeah.
you know, long time ago. You know what I mean? But I enjoy going home. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the game plan is, how long we sat here. If their Jimmy and Joe's are better than yours, if their Jimmy and Joe's are better than yours, we could have sat here till 2 o'clock in the morning trying to figure it out. Their Jimmy and Joe's are better than ours. And we go out
Yeah.
there and get our eyes beat in. So now I just wasted all this time to get this result. You know what I mean? So the coach's burnout has always been a topic of discussion for me, especially between me and, you know, obviously other coaches as well.
Mhm.
You know, just because if you're efficient, you don't have to do that. You know,
No, you don't get burned out.
2022, it's right there. My kid's right there. You know, we won state. We went 3 days a week during the summer. You know, our practice schedule was efficient. You know, we weren't there all day, and I was home from Waycross, Georgia, about 9 o'clock every night. That's an hour drive, which means we were done by 8. You know, some nights were a little bit longer. At the latest, I was home by 10 during rivalry against Coffee. You know what I mean? But we weren't there all day because we were efficient. Being efficient does not mean I have to sit here all day. You know what I mean? Get your stuff done so you don't have to be here all day.
Yeah.
But
Or send you home and just get your stuff, get your stuff done and just reconvene over like a group chat or like the coordinators compile all the notes and you take all that in consideration because all sitting around the round table, it just turns into you're just talking about nonsense and you're not really like it's not really a focused environment to me. Like I think we tried this one year and I mean we were bad anyway, so I don't think it would have mattered. But I think if we'd have been good, I think it could have been, decent. But we instead of Sunday meetings, like all together, our head coach would like call everybody, get their notes, and then him and I would have a discussion
yeah,
about the game plan. Like I would call the offensive guys. I would say, hey, what are your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think we should attack? And I would let them give their input. Ultimately, the game plan's on me anyway. Same with you. But you want to get their input.
mm-hmm.
But you don't have to sit around for 4 hours to get their input.
Yeah.
And I think I think deep down they appreciated giving their input and then being able to step back into the world of their family and their Sunday afternoon, watching NFL games or whatever it is they do on Sunday afternoons. I think if you can give them that time, they feel valued. It's like, and then, they had good ideas anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I would have never felt, and they didn't make me feel obligated to use their stuff. They just said, here's what I think. And then, if I thought it was a good idea, I would use it. If I didn't, I'd be like, yeah, well, maybe another time on that, but
Maybe next game.
Maybe next game. But and I think they also it forced them to have better, have more thought out ideas because they know that we're not just going to sit around spitball. So like they had to put more effort into. They ended up putting more effort into film study.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had I was going to ask them some specific questions. I wanted them to look at things. We established like, hey, just kind of tell me what you think they're doing. What combos can we hit them on the outside, or what blitzes are we going to get? Who do I need to worry about?
Mm-hmm.
Which guys do I need to worry about? I'm going to look at it all myself. I was focused on my biggest focus as a coordinator was who do I need to worry about?
Mm-hmm.
Because during the game, like I'm, my style is kind of chaos wins the day. Like I'm gonna create chaos on your sideline because you're not gonna know what I'm gonna do next. Like I'm not very predictable in that regard because I don't even know what I'm gonna call until I call it. And a lot of people are like, oh, I gotta be super scripted and I gotta, it takes the feel away from the game. But when I know who I need to worry about, everything else kind of take care of itself. And I know my wide receivers coach has really looked at their secondary and he knows, okay, he goes, hey, he'll come on the headset, hey, um, number 20, he's looking a little slow tonight, or he's struggling over here, and they've got a ton of space. And I'll go bet, and I'll call whatever it is to attack that space. And so you build trust in those guys, and if they're not burnt out, going back to your original question, they're more apt to give you really good feedback versus just figuring out what you want to hear and just give you what you want to hear, which I hate that. Like, I don't like, as harsh as the truth is sometimes, and as much as I don't like hearing a harsh truth sometimes, and as much as I fight it and believing it, it's good for me.
It's good. And I always say this: you can't talk about, hey, we're a family. We're this and we're that, and I can't even go home and see my own family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I have to. And the biggest thing that I hate is I feel like we're being micromanaged. If we're here all day, okay, and I've got all my stuff done, you've seen it all. Why am I still here? You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm prepared. I've showed it to you. I've done it. This is what I think. This is what I got. But that's the biggest thing. Like for me, if we're here all day, that means you're trying to micromanage. Like this is a micromanage point. Yes, the work has to get done. If work ain't getting done, you shouldn't trust me as a coach to do it. That's just been my biggest pet peeve. And when I hear like a couple of my buddies talk about, well, we were here till this so and so time, I'm like, do what?
What are y'all doing?
I was at home feeding my child by that point. You know what I mean?
I was eating my Frosted Flakes at that time.
Yeah, like burning out coaches is the biggest thing for me, especially nowadays. I mean, especially education the way it's been now, with us having to deal with discipline and standards and all this other stuff. Vapes, that's the biggest thing now.
Vapes and cell phones.
And then to sit up here for forever, coaches getting burnt out. You're losing really good quality coaches and teachers, for that matter, in the building because you're working them to death.
And you're micromanaging.
And you're seeing coaches like leave. All right, so this coach left, this coach left, this coach left. There's been no, continuity. There's been no consistency within that staff for a long time. Yeah, they may be good, but kids, they want to get familiar, and then if they're changing coaches every year. Hey, why'd you leave? Shit, we were working all day.
Burnout, man. Burnout's real.
You know what I mean? So
I burn out. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I burn out. Because the upward mobility where I'm at is, I don't want to take a head job just to take a head job, right? And I don't want to do that. But like you get in a situation to where like you just feel like you're being overlooked, first of all, and that gets a little burdensome. You feel like when you're there, you're just like when I was at Innsworth, like I loved a lot about it, but I wasn't in the building all day. I was coming over. And so I think that disconnected me a little bit. And I don't think I was as valued as I could have been and should have been, because the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach were, they saw each other all day and they would just go back and forth. And, I'd come in and everything would be set. So I'm just like, well, why am I here? Just give me the practice schedule and tell me what we're doing. And, it
is what it is.
It is what it is. Right. And so like you get in that scenario and it's like, God, like we're here for 4 hours. We're just meeting because of what?
See, just for people to ride by and see your cars in the parking lot.
Yeah, you couldn't even see our cars in the parking lot because our campus was like way back.
Coaches sure are working hard, man. I've seen them coaches there.
Yeah, they're working hard.
11:30 last night.
Yeah, they were there. They ordered breakfast and dinner. It's like, what are we doing, man? Like, And don't get me wrong, the head coach I worked for at Innsworth was tremendous. Like he was awesome.
Yeah, see that degree right there. I got that
Yeah.
degree from working at Compton right there.
Yeah,
I got my
exactly.
master's.
Yeah, you got your master's, you're ready to go, man. I got one of those too, and so we're right there in the same boat. But like, I don't need to be micromanaged. Like, I am sufficient enough to be able to say, hey, you go do this. You're good.
Especially when it comes to ball. Like I feel like most coaches, when it comes to ball, like it's something that they want to do. It's something that means something to them. You know what I mean? So when it
Yeah.
school wise, you know, you kind of got to stay on top of us because you know we get a little lost every once in a while. You know, any coach that says I don't do that, you're a liar. You are a liar. When it's
Any
football season,
teacher,
you
not even
know,
coach,
you know,
every
during
teacher
football season,
everywhere.
I'm nowhere to be seen half the time.
I
You
know,
know,
me too.
but um, when
Every
it comes
teacher.
to ball, this stuff is done. Like it is to a T. It is I's dotted, T's crossed. You know what I mean? Even to the color of the script. You know what I mean? All the color coordination stuff we do. You know, but it's done in a timely manner. I didn't have to be there all day. I didn't have to sit here and look at you and look at the misery on your face and say, look, like, why are we still here? I don't know. I've been asking the same question.
Yeah. This guy's on his phone. This guy is wondering when the hell dinner's coming. This guy's got up to go to the bathroom 17 times, not because he's had to go 17 times, because if he doesn't get up, he's going to fall asleep. That's me.
Yes.
Fidgety, spinning in your chair, you know, watching NFL Sunday Ticket. I mean, whatever, man. Like watching Red Zone and managing your fantasy football team because your part of the discussion went by 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
And your part's done and you've already finished your scripts and you're just sitting there.
It's a bad day. It's a bad day at the office.
Just like, dude, let's just call it, man. Like, let's go home. You got your scripts. You got what you need out of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it could just be simple of like now that technology, like back to my original point, technology allows us to not have to sit around a table for hours. It's delegate, get the reports, follow up as a coordinator and say, hey, I saw your report. I like this. I didn't like this. Do a little more work on that because I think you're onto something here. Just follow that rabbit hole, or whatever feedback you want to give. You follow that guy.
I value all my guys, every last one of them. I'll be in the game and I'll say, hey, so y'all like right here. I'll have a play in my mind that I like, and then I might like a play that they say. Like, ooh, I like that better.
I've done that.
You know what I mean? So
I've done that plenty of times.
And it's just about, involving everybody. When you involve everybody, and that too, delegate, like you said, delegate things to where we're not here all day. Don't think you have to do it yourself. These coaches are hired for a reason. It's one of those deals to where you're not by yourself in these situations. You know what I mean? Yes, you're going to get blamed for it. It is what it is because you are the coordinator. But when you got great guys that are around you, use them. You know what I mean? Make it more efficient. Make it not just for you, but for your kids. For your family, so you can go to hell home.
Yeah, like you tell you give them situation, however you want to break the game down, however you want to construct your game plan. To me, it's hey, I need somebody to tell me what the hell to call in the red zone. What do you like in the red zone? I'm gonna tell you what I like, and we'll find some middle ground. That might be me and the offensive line coach, right? What do you like in the red zone? Let's focus there. And then tell me what their biggest blitzes are, and tell me what our biggest problems are going to be in pass protection, and we'll solve that problem. Tell me your solution. I'm probably going to go with it because those guys probably better than me, unfortunately. All right, running backs coach, like, what are our linebackers doing? How active are they? What are their weaknesses? How can we mess with the linebackers? All right, receivers coach, tight end coach. You guys tell me the passing shell. Tight ends, like where can we take advantage of you? Where can we attack the secondary? What kind of coverages are you anticipate they're going to give us? How can we get them out of that coverage?
Exactly.
You write that stuff up for me, or like tight ends coach, give me a personnel report. You just watch. You give me the starting lineup, their most frequent subs, who's the problems, who's the targets.
Yep.
You tell me all that. Shit, we good.
Put it up on the board.
I'll do the rest. I'll take care of the rest.
And I'll see you later.
You ain't got to come in. I'm gonna call you and be like, yo, bruh, dude, that personnel report is outstanding, man. So like 51, he's gonna be a lot of trouble. We're gonna have to slide protection towards him. We're gonna make the call based on him, and we're gonna make it all night long by doing X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
Click. Hey, O-line coach. You just, you're going to spend some time, right? You're going to spend some time calling, but it's like way less time. And those guys can multitask and talk to you. You don't have to sit around and worry about, okay, Bay Booster Club, bring us some Bojangles,
Bojangles. Oh,
that happened. We got Bojangles for dinner.
Oh, yeah. We used to too. I remember them days, the Bojangle days.
Yeah, bow time. It's bow time.
That's why I lose so much weight during the summer, because I put on the football weight during that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just it's like a vicious cycle for me too. I get my winter coat and I gradually work it off until the games start. Then I put it back on throughout the season, because like you're going home from JV games and you're stopping at Wendy's or Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. You're just shoveling junk food.
Yeah, terrible calories. Terrible.
Which is terrible. Like it's awful. But like after the game, like I'm sure you guys get all the leftover concession stand food, right? Oh, they bring in all the extra hamburgers, hot dogs.
We get them Kit Kats and them Snickers is ball game.
Yeah, game. like you they bring in a freaking spread for you.
It's amazing. I've been on my feet all day. I've been hauling and screaming. I got dip spit on my shirt because I was screaming at somebody. Yeah. Well,
it was a fairly successful first episode, minus the tech glitch from the tech guy, which is nuts, man.
Please don't mind that part. I'm pretty sure that Corey can do something with that part right there.
Nobody's gonna. The only reason they're gonna know there was any difference is because the backdrop changed.
It was literally like some real awkward silence there. You see these guys, that they talk, like the radio people, like Stephen A and all them. They just talk to a screen all day. I can't do that. I just got my hand. I started sweating. Like my hands got all clammy. I got real nervous. I'm like, I can't do this.
Can't do it Howard style, can you?
I said it for live. I'm like, sorry, people. I apologize, but this is not me right now. We're gonna wait for Corey to get back.
I think when Stephen A does it, I swear I think he thinks he's talking to somebody.
He's got to be, because that was nerve. I was like, this is not it for me.
Yeah, well, if you weren't an only child, were you?
Oh no.
Now, see, I was an only child, so like the art of talking to myself, you kind of perfect that naturally as an only child.
Well, I had the urge to talk back to myself, so then I just kind of stopped. They say you're crazy if you talk back to yourself, so I didn't want to get that.
Maybe I'm a little touch of crazy. I'm a touch of crazy, man.
Just a little bit.
I have to be to go to a block party. Take the kid. Jeez.
Love to see it, baby. Love to see it.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was pre-COVID, before all the stuff really popped off.
Mm-hmm.
In that regard. Like, I think it would have been really, really scary situation if it was 2021, 2022, after all the tensions got a little bit higher. But nonetheless, it's a story that I can tell now. And those kids are awesome. I wish they would have played for us longer, truthfully. And those people were cool too at the block party. I'm sure they had a hell of a time. They looked like they were having fun. I was hoping they would invite me to party with them. I would have that would have been fun. But nonetheless, Regular Guys Podcast. If you like what you see, man, just subscribe, tell a friend. It's gonna be this. Like we're gonna be a little bit of, we're gonna there's gonna be some episodes where we break down Gunnar Stockton, and there's gonna be some episodes where I psychoanalyze and play therapist for Israel during a tough week of the season, or try to prevent burnout, or things like that. Like we talk about topics that are relevant to what we do as professionals, and we're going to try to relate it to the world of sports, and we're going to bring you everything. It's the whole spectrum. All right, so buckle up and enjoy the ride. This is going to be a new era for this podcast. I think it's going to be a lot better. I think we're going to be able to bring you a lot more dynamic topics. We're going to be able to have some more dynamic guests, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we hope you join in on the fun with us. And like I said, we're the Regular Guys Podcast now. We are rebranded on the After Dark Network. Join us every week, and we'll see you back here next time. But until then, peace out and go Dogs.
I'll let you go Dogs.